Yeah, that going down the road, people are gonna be like, what the hell?
You call that the Junkerup fleet?
Jump in this thing and see what it'll do.
Ready to rock this, bro?
Oh, hell yeah. Yep, something broke inside. There's no detents, there's no nothing. It's stuck in some kind of gear, so I gotta figure out what gear I'm stuck in. Yeah, so last night I lost my transmission. But I didn't lose it. But I lost all the gears but one. My shifter went... Hang on. Okay. My shifter went completely limp. I jacked up the car in Tehachapi to take a look at the linkage. It's not the linkage. Whatever controls the detents inside the transmission broke. Because right now, that does nothing. Luckily it broke in second gear. So I'm just cruising along at like 45 miles an hour from Tehachapi to Vegas. Luckily it has a really big training cooler on it. It should make it. This is like the equivalent of having 456 rear gear and only a 4-speed. It sucks. Keep forgetting the transmission doesn't work every time I come to a stop. I made it to Baker so far. Only 2.5 hours to go at 40 miles an hour. Oh wait, I don't have no park or nothing, so I gotta set my... Hold on. I gotta do this one-handed here. Set my drift brake as my park. I'm almost home. I got a little over an hour to go at 40 miles an hour. Getting passed by everything. So luckily...
Made it, but not without some mechanical errors. The obvious one was the transmission. Stuck in second gear, limp shift linkage. That transmission has to come out and get fixed. Or you could just drop the valve body and fix it, but the transmission's been doing some weird stuff lately. Like in the morning you'd fire it up and it just wouldn't go anywhere until you stick it in neutral, first, reverse, run it through the gears, and then the transmission would function normal all day long. So that transmission probably needs to be checked out anyway, along with the mechanical breakage that it's got. Another thing is the engine's got to come out. So on a 1,000 mile round trip, it only took 12 quarts of oil to complete this. And coming into Las Vegas, I ran out of oil and it started to clatter. So luckily I had more oil on me, stuck more oil in it, clatter went away, but that rear main seal has gotten worse and worse and worse to the point where it's costing more money in oil than it is gas. Enough of the general. We've got to detach this, hook Minty to the trailer, so then we can back this thing up into the driveway and kind of evaluate all the parts that are in it. Because there's a lot of stuff in this thing that either don't belong to it or there's extras. Maybe I can recoup some of my monies that I spent on this thing just by selling off some of the extra parts. That'll work. That'll give it the good barn fine look. If we're gonna do this, we gotta stage it up proper like.
Come down, slow papa. There ain't no way out, upside head.
No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, this is not a barn find. It's not abandoned. It's in my backyard. You guys know I've owned this car for a long time if you're a follower. No, it's just, we'll call it a little neglected at the moment. But I just kind of wanted to tease at all the YouTubers calling everything barn find, abandoned, when really they weren't abandoned. They're on somebody's property and they own them. They're not abandoned. If it was abandoned, you would find them in fields that nobody owns the land to. Anyways, back to my Charger. This is my 69 General Lee. I got this car out of North Dakota. Oh, I don't know, it had to have been 5-6 years now, I think, at least. It's had 3 engines in it. It's had 2 transmissions, 1 rear end, 2 front suspensions. Oh, and it's on its second interior. But this interior is not too shabby as you can see. So I had completely redone this interior about a year ago, but this car goes through hell. This is my Thrasher that we beat the ever-living shit out of. We tow with it. We go to autocrosses. I take it out in the desert. We bonsai this thing. We Dukes of Hazzard this mofo up. And hence why it's sitting right now. So the engine that's in this thing right now, it has like one of the notorious crappy 440 line board rear main seal leaks. We're going to attempt to fix it by pulling the engine out, because I kind of hurt it a little bit, but not bad. So I was towing back from California. In a 500-mile trip, this thing would go through like 5 quarts. I mean, it sucked. This thing leaked so freaking bad. Around town, it wasn't too bad, so I didn't really worry about it around town. It's just long sustained RPM under a load. Oh, it just all out the back. Well, I ran it out of oil, and it kind of started to knock a little bit, just a little, not bad as in like, oh shit, but bad enough to where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna park it and then I'm gonna pull the engine and fix it before it gets worse. You know, that hopefully it's just a bearing and I don't have to pull the crank type issue. Also, you'll see it's missing a radiator and a shroud. Well, I had done robbed that for patina when I blew when I exploded the fan and killed the radiator. So we stole all the goodies off of this to put on patina. But we need to get this thing up and going and get it onto El Concreto, so that way we can proceed with my plan. Yeah, these are good tires. I just let the air out for that thumbnail picture, you know, to get that clickbait going on. Rise, my son. Because you know it's a major abandoned barn find with Willwood brakes on it. I actually haven't started this thing in quite a while, since it was put back here 6-7 months ago or whenever it was. I'm actually curious if the battery even has any life in it. Let's find out. Shit, it's been a minute. I can't remember which. Oh yeah, it's that key. Okay. Nope. Although maybe I was smart enough to disconnect the battery. I just don't remember. Oh. There we go. Oh, no. Nope. Dang it. It's hooked up. I've only got so much daylight left in the day, so I don't want to wait forever on a charger. Luckily, I just happen to have that guy. As long as the cables will reach it, we're good. Aren't batteries nowadays just garbage? And I don't even care who makes it. Just batteries today just do not last. Let's give it a whirl now, shall we? Well, console has power. Crap, what did I do with the key? Good thing we can't drive out like that. Okay. I'm like 100% sure the bowls are empty. Oh yeah, that was another reason I needed to get, I have new shifter. Oh, I used one. Dang, I need to get another one. I had to get new shifter bushings because my linkage is just all junkage. Just like, it's just so floppy and just, ugh. When you're sitting there trying to drift around the autocross course and the gears feel all mushy gushy, not good. Let it crank for a second, get some fuel in the bowls. All right, I think we probably got fuel in the bowls now. Pumpy, pumpy. Further inspections required. Ah, that would help. Alright, I can't say let's get it warmed up because there's no radiator, there's no nothing. Ooh, still sounds good. Nice and snorty. Still has some snort to it. I don't hear nothing knocking in there. Alright, without no radiator, we've only got a limited amount of time of movability. So we're gonna go ahead and get this sucker backed in there. It is on the concrete. We can start tearing it apart, but this is going to be a daytime thing. It's winter time now, and since I don't have to drive this tomorrow, I'm going to do it comfortable in sunlight because it dips into like the high 30s at night, and I'm a desert guy. I don't like cold temperatures. Anything below 50 degrees is intolerable to me. And I'm going to show you how I drop the engines out of Mopars. Yes, drop. It is another cold, breezy day today. I was hoping today would be a new day where it would just be sunny and calm and it would be nice, but no, it's breezy, which makes our 50-degree temperature day feel like, oh, low 40s. It feels kind of cold right now. I'm actually bundled up. I've got my long johns on with my pants. I got 2 shirts on. I got this thing. And I got my Cornwell's tool hoodie, or whatever they call these things. I just can't remember names of things. I just know how things work. Speaking of work, time to get this thing all torn down. We're not going to tear it all the way down. all I'm gonna do is remove the power steering, remove the AC compressor, remove the wiring that's to the engine, the carburetor, some of the fuel lines, my crankcase ventilation system, obviously a coil wire, just things that will keep me from dropping the engine down. Then we're going to remove my calipers. We're going to hang those up, and then we're going to remove the upper control arm just by the ball joint. So that'll pop up, this will come off, and then we have to remove the torsion bars. We have to unbolt the exhaust, have to remove the drive shaft. Oh man, I just got a gust. Ah, today sucks. Well, I got tired of the freaking hood falling on my head because these springs are weak. So I went ahead and drilled a pinhole in the hinge. Stick that bolt in there. Now that hood definitely won't fall down, especially when a gust of wind hits it. Every time I'm having to repair my cars, which is quite often, and if you're a friend of mine, you know this, I'm like, man, I should be a little bit easier on my cars so they last longer. But at the same time, it's like, nah, that's boring. All right, that's floppy loose. Now I can take the torsion bars out. Well, if you're a Mopar guy, which probably why you're following this, but you know, I'm actually not a Mopar no car guy. I know some of you guys not gonna want to hear that, but I do like other manufacturers too. It just happens to be that Mopars have the coolest ones. But this is a Mopar torsion bar removal tool. I don't even know who made this, but it is quite handy in knocking torsion bars out. Before, I was having to use like 5 vice grips on the torsion bar and then hammering them and just scarring the crap out of my torsion bars or ruining vice grips. But with this guy, made it a lot easier. So yeah, if you don't have one, you need to get one. All right, let's see if this will be a one-hitter quitter. 2 little ones. I'm so far behind on getting stuff done on this car. Between friends showing up and phone calls and racer stuff and family stuff, I could have had 2 of these things done already. But, oh well. Need to drop the steering column so I can undo the universal at the steering box, which my steering box has tons of play in it, so now I'm gonna have to figure out about replacing that with like a Borgeson or something. Ugh. It's never ending with cars. Maybe there's something to people just driving their cars instead of thrashing them every day. I don't know. But when I think about it, that's just stupid. There we go. Man, I must be really popular today. And yesterday, because a lot of people keep showing up and just saying, hey, what's up, bullshitting and visiting. And of course, I like to bullshit too. But then I finally kicked him out so I can start working on my General Lee. All right, so last night I got a few things set up, ready for the engine to come out the bottom. I had a video on this before, but in case you haven't seen it, this is some bracketry setup that I made. It's a contraption because I'm genius sometimes. But I got this doohickey that I make, and I actually sell it on my store, garage or Junkerupgarage.com. I had to even think about my store, forgetful. But this allows me to drop the engine out the bottom with just a cherry picker and putting the rear wheels on wheel stands and then ratchet strapping, so I can use the rear axle as the pivot point to lift the front end way up in the airs, and then I just roll my entire assembled drivetrain out and back in. Assembled as in the headers, the transmission, the accessories, everything, carburetor, distributor, all pre-assembled, rolls in and out. Want to see? All this guy does is slips into that hole, and then this little 1/4 inch bolt right there, basically that just holds it in place. And it's the same thing on both sides. Then we come in with my crossbar with the hooks. That's going to go onto the hoist. Then we come in here and go snap, snap, and then start pumping. And this is just a simple triangle shaped dolly, nothing special. The reason it's triangle shaped is just to make sure I clear the headers. But it works good, and it's low profile for getting it out from under the car. But what's nice too is I have the big wheels, so that way it'll roll over those tiny pebbles instead of it getting stopped in its tracks, because that's so annoying. Then you just remove your 4 K-frame bolts and toss them in your handy dandy storage area. Pretty slick, huh? Then I just roll the whole contraption out from under the General E. Broke another motor mount, and this one I had even welded the studs. What's up, everybody? Yep, it's a week later. I'm trying to only do this stuff on the weekends. Today is when we find out how screwed up the General Lee's engine really is. Now, when I fired it up and pulled it into the spot that it's sitting, yes, right behind us, the engine itself didn't make any noise other than the cool engine noises it was making before. But it wasn't making any rattling, which it was when I drove it home with only second gear and running out of oil. So I'm really curious to see what is in this oil pan. So I'm watching the oil as it drains down. I don't see any metal. I see very fine fragments of what looks like bearing material. So we are going to check the bearings to see if they need to be replaced. But I don't think it's bad enough to where the crank is hurt. I could probably just slap some bearings in it, fix the rear seal, and call this engine good and slap it back in. Oh wait, I'm going to advance the cam. That's right. Okay, we're going to let this drain. So that way when I flip it over, oil doesn't go everywhere. I was thunking. All right, I have found the issue on why the General was an oil leaking pig. I mean, it really didn't leak oil at idle. It could sit in the driveway and idle forever. But under a load or on the highway, when all that oil is slinging around in the pan, or the pan gets pressurized, dunzo. This thing, on a 500-mile road trip, I would end up going through about 5 quarts of oil. And here's why. So, probably hard to tell, but that seal there is not even touching the crank. This side is touching the crank excessively more than it needs to, but still not bad. Problem is, I measured the crankshaft, and this turned out to be a pretty big problem with a lot of Mopar big blocks. The crank does not sit in the center of the freaking journal. So, well, mostly the seal cap. It'll sit in the center of the block, but in the seal cap from here, from this wall to this wall, is not centered. My crank sits over 70 freaking thousandths of an inch. 70, which is 35 per side. And it's clearly visible when you look at it. If you look at the slinger on this side, where's my flashlight here? So if you look at the slinger on that side and look at the gap, there we go. Kind of hard to get in there with this, but if you look at the gap that the slinger has to the block, and then you go over to this side and look at the side the slinger has to the block, it's clearly visible the crank is. And by measuring it, it confirmed it. And then also by looking at the seal cap, I can see right here that the crank was clearly riding on the seal right there. It's worn away. This side over here is brand new. It's never even touched the crankshaft. So my fix for this is I'm going to use shims, and I'm going to wedge the seals over to try and fill the void of gappage. I got it. I figured out how much I need to shim, and I'm only doing like a quarter shim, so a full circle I'm only doing like 25%, which is just the side. That's where it's really leaking because the crank is offset. What I had done, I tried different shims. Right now there is soda can shim in there, and the seal is actually the same on both sides now. So started off with this, which this is 45 thousandths, which was too much. It actually was cramming the seal into the crank. So then I started off with a single soda can, which I think that's only like 5 thousandths, 6 thousandths, something like that, if I remember right. Actually, I'll just check it right now. 3, 4, in that range. So I threw a single shim soda can in there. Wasn't enough. The seal still didn't touch the crank. So then I folded it in half. Took this guy, folded it in half, which doubled the thickness to about 8 thousandths. 8 to 9 thousandths. Still wasn't quite enough. So then I folded it again. And that worked out perfect. It ended up shoving the seal over 20 thousandths, which gave me the correct contact to match both sides. And it actually will bring the bottom up just a tick so it's into the crankshaft. I'm going to do the same amount to the top seal and bolt it back together. Oh, and the bearing is perfectly fine. Still looks like freaking new almost in here. And so the crank actually sits in its bore correctly, but it's just the way the block is machined. Like that looks really good. It's just the way the block is machined, probably in this part where it's wrong. Stupid Chrysler. Got everything shimmed up. I went ahead and put grease on the crankshaft, and then I bolted the cap back down, and I can see where my seal had touched all the way around the crankshaft now. So I am pretty good on hoping that will seal. I'm gonna go ahead and bolt this sucker back together, and I'm kind of thinking I need to put new rod bolts in it. I'm kind of hard on rod bolts. Gonna check the bearings too. So right now the cam sprocket, the crank sprocket, is set up to be 2 degrees advanced. Well, we know we lost that in the cam stretch, so we're gonna go ahead and put it at 6 degrees advanced, so that way I get a little bit more down low, and it'll also make up for the stretch that we already got. The chain wasn't stretched too bad to where I want to replace it, but just trying to get a little bit more low end. If you notice the background noise, I'm actually watching the 1992 Daytona 500.
And welcome back to the Great American
There it
Race.
is.
Ken Squire here at Daytona, where throughout this entire week, one name has been on everyone's list. That's Earnhardt. The Intimidator has been invincible.
officially the General Lee's engine is repaired and adjusted. We got the timing chain advanced 4 more degrees. Well, really it's 6, but considering this timing chain has like 2 degrees of slack in it now, that it's pretty much 4. So 4 degrees advanced. We've got ARP rod bolts all in, torqued. We got new bearings in, which I was right. Couple of these bearings are actually pretty shabby, like something went through it. And you could tell that it's pretty worn down on that one end. And I knew I had heard a rod. Oh, here it is. So that one's worn down pretty good. And that's what was making all that clattery noise. But I shut it down, and then I had to finish driving home. So I just kept the RPM low, got home, parked it, didn't drive it again, until now when we backed it up into the spot where we yanked the engine out. So now this is all put back together. I need to work on the oil pan. But I've got something to show you on the oil pan. And this is a problem with these aftermarket made in Taiwan Chinese oil pans, is whatever they are welding these baffles in with, this must be like a Harbor Freight welder with a 200-foot extension cord, because these baffles, they're breaking loose. Like I bet you there's baffles that have broke loose in your guys' oil pans that you have bought these and you don't even realize it. But with the General Lee, we do a lot of major thrashing on it. It actually busted this spot weld right here, and this is the D-cell baffle. So on braking, all the oil is going to slosh forward. If this wasn't here, all the oil would just whoosh and away from the pickup tube. And on acceleration, this is what tries to stop all that oil from just going back away from the pickup tube. Patina had the same problem. This is a Hemi Repop oil pan. So it's a 6-quart pan. Well, on Patina, the D-cell baffle had completely broke loose and was just floating around in the pan. And I noticed that because on D-cell, hard braking, whatever, I would lose all oil pressure. But then when the oil would come back into the pickup tube, boop, I'd get my oil pressure back. And upon pulling the oil pan, I found that baffle loose. Now imagine if this baffle had just happened to get sucked up by the pickup tube and cut off all oil flow to the pump. Your engine, donezo. So I'm gonna go ahead and throw some extra welds on this baffles in this pan and then put it back on the engine. Quickie little cheap solid motor mount converted from an isolated one. You just weld up the sides. Yeah, you gotta deal with a little bit of flames, but once you paint it up, it looks stock. I'm thinking before stuffing the engine back in, I'm gonna go ahead and do my subframe connectors. It'll be a lot easier to do that when there's not a big old honking engine in there filling that big hole, because I gotta get down into the corners and weld it up. And if there's headers on the way and torsion bars and all that, it just makes it more difficult. here, and I had already laid it over and traced it out where it needs to be so that I can cut it out of my donor piece, which
Give my feet to the footloose, careless, fancy free. Give my knees to the needy, don't pull that stuff on me. Hand me down my walking cane, it's a sin to tell a lie. Send my mouth way down south, kiss my ass goodbye. But please don't bury me down in that cold ground. No, I thought I have them cut me up, pass me all around. Throw my brain in a hurricane, and the blind can have my eyes, and the deaf can take both of my ears, and they don't mind the size.
oh yeah, generally just got way stronger and probably about 20 pounds heavier. But I'll take the way stronger part. This car needed it. And it looks mighty fine in there too. Do some touch-up paint and call the subframe connectors done. Well, this sucks. I pulled the torque converter out just so it'd be a little bit lighter when we carried it around, to find that the pump shaft is cracked and there's a chip missing out of it. So this torque converter is officially garbage. Ah, more monies. Hopefully that chip didn't go inside the transmission. I bet it did. Yeah, shit. Shit. Now I'm going to come right out and say it. I am not a transmission guy. I don't build transmissions. I don't rebuild transmissions. At most, all I do is bolt in a valve body and send it, and a torque converter. Or front seal, rear seal. But as for building them, not me. It's not that I can't do it, I just don't care. Automatics, just not my thing. I use them, I abuse them, I throw them away and get another one. Don't really care to learn them, but I am gonna have to learn something. So instead of just sending this out, I'm gonna be like, you know what, I'm gonna fix it myself, be cheaper. I'm gonna pull the front pump assembly out and check on my pump, because I think it might be damaged from that chip from the converter that broke and killed the bushing, and probably ran through the pump and maybe killed the pump. So maybe I can just rob pieces from another transmission and bolt another pump in it. But a friend of mine has taught me how to remove this whole front pump without all of its guts spilling out, and that's tightening the front band. So I'm going to tighten that front band up right here, actually right here, so that way I can pull the front pump out without all of its guts going. bushing is wiped out. You can see in there with all the metal underneath the copper, completely garbaged. And the pump itself though looks fine. I don't see any scarring, any nicks, any chips. That all looks good in there. So we're gonna go ahead and see if I can't get myself a new bushing, bolt this sucker back together. I'm gonna get a new filter and gasket and all that. And also I noticed there's a crack right there. So that crack is actually getting up into the pan itself, and I thought it wasn't a fin, but you can see it's starting to spread up into the pan, and this was not leaking. But how long till it does? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull that off and weld that up and see where I can even get one of these doohickeys. Well, might as well put my tools away for now, because I had to order parts. Actually, my pump was out of spec, so I called a buddy and he told me to measure the rotor and the stator to see the distance between the gear and the ungear, and it was over 10,000. So he's like, yeah, it's junk. Bolt, are you kidding me? Give it a break, dude. Always interrupting my scene. Since the transmission is on hold, I was trying to think of other things I can do to make the going together process a little faster, and I did think of some things. So this steering box was the steering box that was in the General. It was the original one, and it had a lot of play. I mean, it was like, look at that. Just by finger I can move the thing that much. Then on the steering wheel, it was legitimately like a quarter turn, to where you could just sit there and saw the wheel back and forth, and nothing. Oh wait, that didn't look good on camera. I just saw it. Anyways, yeah. So you can saw the steering wheel back and forth, and the car just went straight. So we're going to go ahead and yank my pitman arm off of this thing, and this is the long pitman arm. This isn't the stubby. So this is the quick ratio pitman arm, and we're going to rob it off of the factory junk box, and we're going to put it onto a Borgeson steering box. So I've got this box in all my cars. I had to think about that. So that one's got one. That one we don't care about because it's just a car we did for duct tape drags. But the General Lee now has one, Smurf has got one, and Patina has got one. And yeah, those are in front of the house. So I'm pointing through the house. And so I figured, you know what? I like that box so much. We're gonna go ahead and put this in the General. And this wasn't sponsored. I actually had to pay for all 4 of those. Can you believe that? I mean, Borgeson, what the hell? Hook a guy up, man. I bought enough of these things. So pitman arm off, pitman arm on. Then I can put my fittings on here, and I've got a torque converter box here. Ooh, that wasn't that stylish. We'll do it again. So I'm changing my converter, obviously, because that's what screwed up the transmission. But I'm actually changing it in size and stall. So I kept smoking my transmission fluid, and you know, because I tow with this thing, and it had like a 2500 stall in it, which I figured would be okay, because cruising the highway, I'm at like 28 to 3,000 RPM, depending on how fast I want to go and how far I want to send it through the air. But no, towing, even though I'm above the stall, it's still stalling, and it was smoking the converter. I mean, I have a large transmission cooler. My transmission cooler is 25% the size of the radiator. And I also have, you know, well, I'm not going to lift it all up, but there's a deep sump aluminum finned transmission pan on there, which also helps with cooling. Still wasn't enough. I have a temp gauge on my on the dash, and I could see the tranny fluid. What I had done I went larger on the converter size. So now this is like the stock 12-inch converter, but it's not stock. It's actually a TCI. Yep, there you go. No, I didn't actually just put this in this box. This is a real TCI. And I dropped the stall down to 2,000. So now it's like your Saturday night special, I think they call it, or tow master. I don't know. I just looked at stall and converter size. And so this will help out keep my transmission cool. And even in the summertime, I might even have colder AC, because, you know, my trans cooler is 25% the size of the radiator. The reason I have taken it out of the box and flipped it upside down, trying to save myself some aggravation, is new converter means I need to align it to my flex plates. So this is the side of the engine, and what you want to do is you want to line up all your bolt holes. You Mopar guys, most of you already know this, but the bolt pattern here is not symmetrical. So there's gonna be one bolt that's like off. So like if I rotate it, just rotate it, you know, 90 degrees, and then, all right. Wait, hold on. See, just can't get anything to line up right. So, but if we clock it right, now I went ahead and marked my converter and my flex plates, obviously on the other side, because that's the side you're gonna see. So then in the going back together process, it'll save me a bunch of time. Officially gear o'clock. Oh man, lots has happened today, including working on the General E, but also other things on the stock car. But what we're focused on right now is the General E. You probably remember me talking about this earlier, that crack right there. Now, the crack is not through the other side. Ooh, wow. Actually, how did this thing not leak? So that crack is almost through. That crack is almost through. That crack is almost through. I hit something right there. Whatever it was deserved to get hitted. All right, that's gonna require more welding. I'm gonna clean it up and burn it up so then I can find... That's Henry. Burn it in so that I can bolt this pan back to the transmission, and the transmission can finally get plugged back to the motor and the car get dropped onto the drivetrain. Transmission is bolted back to the engine. Now I just need to put all my little accessory stuff back on, like my transmission mount, the starter. Actually, where did it go? Where did it go? Mystery. Oh, there it is. You know, the shift linkage bracket on the transmission. I might be able to get my power steering pump on there. Just start hooking up all the accessories so then I can slide it under the car and drop the body on top of it. And once again, the transmission, engine, and suspension will be mated to the car. Of course, now it has a Borges steering box, and I ordered a universal coupler to hook up to that. And I'm going to end up modifying my steering shaft so I can put the universal on there. Up, up, and away. It's the next day. It's the afternoon. Beautiful day outside again here in Las Vegas. Winters here are amazing. Summers kind of suck, but it makes up for it in the winters. And you will see the General has its engine in it. A lot of the accessories are hooked up. I got my AC bolted on, just the cap, rotor, wires, the carburetor, the power steering pump. A lot of the stuff is hooked up. I even got my exhaust back on, the torsion bars, and my transmission line. So I went ahead last night and some of this morning going ahead and just slapping that stuff on there. Got the left front suspension done, but I still have to finish the right front suspension. And then I realized it hit me. Oh crap, I'm a very crappy YouTuber. I forgot to record a lot of that, but a lot of it was at night and it kind of sucks to record at night. But we're gonna go ahead and finish up getting this right front suspension on and then finish up all the rest of the things that need to be done to make this sucker run and drive. One of those is I need to put a Borgeson steering universal coupler on my steering shaft. And I'll show you how I like doing it. Now they do sell an adapter that will bolt to your steering column, but to me, it slips over and uses that keyway. I don't know, that just looks like more slop to me. So usually what I'll do is I pull the steering shaft out, I pull the pin out, knock it out, and then I weld this guy on there, because then the only play in that entire steering shaft will then be the splines and the actual universal itself. Way tighter-ers. See, I put my remote oil filter right here in the middle of the K-frame opening because it makes it so much easier to access and drain it instead of the oil, which then drains all the oil all over your K-frame and then all over the ground. Alrighty guys, I'm gonna do a dry fire. Before I put the radiator and the cooling system and all that, I'm gonna dry fire this thing just to make sure there's no issues, because if there is, and I do have to unfortunately pull the motor back out, that's just less work I gotta do and not having to remove the cooling system or waste coolant or anything again. So we're just gonna put a little bit in these bowls just so it doesn't have to siphon so long out of the dry fuel line. Let's see what it does. Why is the battery so weak? Battery must have took a shit, because it's I put it on the charger all night, but I bet you the battery internally is just now garbage. Yay, more money. What am I missing? Okay, there's no spark. Why is there no spark? Alright, now if everything in my ignition box is fine, jumping these two pickup wires should emit a spark. Which it does. You guys can probably hear that. So, at least I don't have to go any farther into the ignition system. The only thing is, does all of a sudden my distributor not work? So, I'm an idiot. the pickup wires weren't even hooked up to the distributor. I have 2 sets of pickup wires down here. One to the original type ignition box, like the Mopar orange box. If the MSD ever fails on the side of the road, I can replace that with an over-the-counter ignition box. So I have left this in the harness, but I had the wrong one plugged in. So dumbass. Now I gotta put it all back together. All right, so the key is on. Let's see what it does. Well, hopefully the lifters quiet up, because that sounded like it wasn't getting any Earl. We have a running, not driving yet generally. In order to make it running, we still got to finish the cooling system and the steering column. And I'm not going to bullshit you guys. This really works. Everybody asks me, what cooling system do I run? Because I live in the 120-degree desert and the generally has AC. This is exactly what I have right here. I have the heavy-duty Durrell flex fan with the cold case B-body radiator, and then I think that's an 1.5 inch spacer. I do not run clutch fans. Clutch fans do not freaking work. Yes, you will get more fuel mileage with them, and yes, they rob less power, but here's the problem. On the highway, when you're driving, regular scenarios on the highway, cruising, you know, even higher cruising speeds in the streets, the clutch fans slip. And when they're slipping, they're not pulling air. When they're not pulling air, the engines are not running cool. Now, ever since I yanked the clutch fans out and then went to a non-heavy duty Durrell fan, Durrell, however they say it. So I went to the non-heavy duty one first. That was a mistake. I sent that sucker right through the radiator and killed one of my perfectly good cold case radiators. So I had to get another one. The heavy duty one has stronger blades to it that will bite more air, and the metal itself is thicker, stronger, hence heavy duty. So this works. I've done the clutches, and you have to have a fan shroud with this. Super important fan shroud that seals to the radiator. Now, I don't have a fan shroud right now. I'm gonna have to order one because I had to rob the one off the General to put on patina. So do as I say, not as I'm doing right now. I will get a fan shroud on this, but it's not 120 degrees yet, so I'll be okay for Matt's, the Autocross. But yes, heavy duty fan, solid with cold case radiator, and you will be perfectly fine 120 degree temps with AC, guaranteed. Now let's put it in. Bolt is on patrol. Are you gonna get him, Bolt? Are you gonna get him? Yeah, I know, distilled water, blah, 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 blah. Doesn't that look so much better in there? Yeah, it's dark outside. So what I do, I shove the steering column in there, and so my steering shaft is not actually welded to the coupler yet, to the universal. I can rotate the steering shaft on my steering coupler, because what I did, let me explain this to you. It's probably easier to explain this to you in the daylight, but all right, I'll show you on this doohickey here. So what I do, I take this guy, and I'll set it there, and I'll measure the drag link. Then I'll take it to the other side. And what I do is I center the drag link. So that way I know the drag link is perfectly centered in the frame rails. Then I throw the steering column in and attach it to the steering box. Make sure, oh wait, you know what? I'm stupid. Hold on 1 second. Ha! Let there be light out here now. Brain fart. I'm so used to only working with flashlights in certain times when I was younger. So yeah, shove the steering column into the steering universal with the drag link centered. Then go ahead and plop your butt in the car like so, and you want to center your steering wheel, which I already did, but you know, right there is good. Then we go ahead and hook up our welder, and we tack weld. Yep, tack weld the universal to the steering shaft, so then I can bring it back in the garage and I'll TIG weld it.
Down to the inside and pass them very nicely. So Bill Elliott, last year's winner here, is...
Alrighty. Well, the reason I took my whole gauge cluster apart and pulled it out of the car is my needle had fallen off the tack. And I don't have a functional speedometer in the general, so I was always using the tack to go tell what speed I was running. And then also, which way is down? There we go. To make sure I put it the right side up. I wanted to get rid of the amp gauge. This is not a factory amp gauge. This is actually an aftermarket amp gauge, which would have been fine, but I just don't want all the amperage from the alternator to flow through this anymore. I don't want all the amperage from the alternator to flow through the factory bulkhead and the firewall, because all it does is just burn up wires. That was a main cause of fires a lot back in the day, was melting harnesses. So I'm going to get rid of this. And what I had is I had taken this gauge right here, autometer, voltmeter 2356, and I had cut it all apart, took the mechanical guts out of it, the electronic guts, and then I took a old gauge. What did I do with it? I think I already tossed it. Is it in the garbage? It is. In the, oh, see, here we go. Oh man, that smells like baby poop. So I took the old gauge apart. Here's the original gauge. Took all the guts, just took what I wanted, and I took the original face from an original gauge, painted it, screwed it to the guts of the autometer gauge, and then glued the original needle from the original Mopar gauge to the autometer gauge. So that's actually glued on there. So now I have a functional voltmeter gauge that cost me 25 bucks. Oh, and then I had that sticker made, so that sticker inlays in there so it looks like a factory voltmeter, because I'm genius sometimes. So now I can go ahead and put this guy back together, and all I got to do is run a power and a ground to here, from here, and presto dunzo, back together and in the carro. See, that autometer gauge fits in there pretty good. Almost like factory. Let me go ahead and stick our lens back on. And look at that. It's like it's original. good to be sitting in the General Lee again with it running on all 8 cylinders. My gauges all work. Like before the tach, the needle was sitting at the bottom of the gauge. The needle had fallen off. The amp meter, I was just worried about it because all the charging from the alternator was going through the amp meter, and I wanted to get rid of that. So now I have fully functional gauge. Oh, my oil pressure is back up from before, you know, because we had the worn out rod bearings. So now I have great oil pressure. Oh yeah, I guess I should see if the transmission works too, huh? Okay, hey, that's a plus. But we don't know if it drives yet, so. Oh wow, I forgot. Yeah, the steering is super tight. Like before, this thing would have like a quarter turn of play in the steering wheel. Now this thing is super tight. It's gonna feel like a brand new car. And I have tighter, I have a lower steering ratio. So I had the factory box, which was 18:1 with the TA Pitman arm and idler arm, which increases the ratio by, I think, by 2 points. So now I have the Borgeson steering box, which is a 16:1 with the 2-point ratio at benefit. So now I have like a 14:1 steering box. Oh yeah, that is so much better. Before, if I did this, the car just went straight. Hey, and my steering wheel straight, dead on. Oh, it feels so good driving. And see, and with the lower torque converter, yeah, it lugs a little bit down low. Oh, I forgot there's a battery in the trunk. I'll have to get that extra battery back out. I don't want it flopping around. But I'll be able to cruise better on the highway, and I'll be able to tow better not having that stall converter. Because this thing before was just smoking tranny fluid with that converter in here. But now, hey, second gear. Third. Uh-oh. Oh, okay, there's third. I was worried for a second. Ah, it feels so good driving this thing again. Of course, this is going to be a short-lived road trip. I'm just going to head back to the house because I got a lot of things to do. I'm just glad that this thing is back on the road, and I've got a couple more cars I've got to get ready for Mass. But you know what? The General Lee is a driver again. Yes! And it's upgraded. We also have the subframe connectors. I forgot about that. So this car is going to feel stiffer. Not only is the steering stiffer, the subframe connectors made the body stiffer. So this is overall going to be a much. Oh, let's see, the AC still works. Aha, cold air. Yes, everything works as it should. Oh, you're fine. Alrighty guys, all of our junk is here. And the only reason I'm even calling the General junk is because the transmission is screwed up in it. And Daryl put the rear seal in wrong, so it leaks. And so I'm gonna make Daryl suffer through that and have to smell all the smoke as he's driving it around. You work with that?
I'll work with that.
Okay.
I'll take that one.
He has no say anyways.
No.
And then we got the slow guy, Stale Cracker. We're gonna run Eileen.
Thanks, our cracker crumbs. I appreciate it.
As you can tell, if you're in the group of us, you better have
Thick skin?
Thick skin. Yeah, I was gonna say something else. Yeah, thick skin works because we always give each other crap because it makes it more fun. But we're just waiting our turn to go out. Cars are out there right now, and they're gonna send all the jalopies at once, which kind of sucks because we want to be able to record each other and make fun of each other and put the camera in multiple cars. So we're gonna be jockeying the GoPros around, and luckily the GoPros are here. Daryl forgot them, so I made him go back and get them. Actually, I forgot them. But we're getting ready to go out here shortly.
And Huff's here.
And nobody cares about Huff. Hey, movie star.
What's going on?
Look at this. He's got his custom painted nostalgic helmet. Does that give you speed?
That gives me speed. That shaves off like 3/10.
Ooh, I need to borrow that then.
Like that, yeah. You need all the help you can get.
You're looking very stylish there, Daryl.
You like that? Makes me go faster.
Yet no. Hopefully it'll keep you between the cones though.
I'll try. gonna go over here and get some oil.
Find the oil?
No.
Not even close.
Not even close?
One wheel is kind of in it. No, back up. No, you're all right. Go ahead about a couple inches. Right there. Do it. Nothing thrashes like a rental. Right, where's the
Okay,
oil?
I take back almost everything I said about you.
Okay, bye.
See ya.
Don't fall out of the sky.
All right.
Ah, Matt's was a great time. The General Lee got thrashed, my 69 Charger got thrashed, the Super Beater got thrashed, and we also raced the 77 Circle Track Duster, which all those videos will be coming out. The General, however, it did survive, but the engine and transmission are gonna have to come back out. I may actually just leave the engine in it and try and put a rope seal in it in the car, because I really don't feel like pulling it back out, but the transmission definitely has to come back out. That transmission is foobarred. Like, it's damaged worse than we thought driving it back from Tehachapi. So some seals or some bands, something is messed up to where really the only gear that worked good was second. So that's the gear that Daryl had to unfortunately run at Matt's the whole time. He never even got to enjoy all the powers of first gear. And this thing is geared pretty tall, so kind of bogged it down a little bit. But we will fix this thing up good and tight and right later. And you know what, I'm thinking I'll even put my ball joint drop brackets on here, because look at the amount of wear that happens on the outer edge of the tire. And that's because the stock Mopar geometry, when you first throw it into a corner, the tire actually cambers out until it tucks way in, then it starts to barely pull it in. With those ball joint drop brackets I make, as soon as that tire starts to go in, as soon as that suspension starts to compress, it pulls in the camber. So that, I think we are definitely going to have to address and make more gooder. But yep, this car here did excellent in its debut race of me owning it and redoing the car, and we even threw a rookie driver in it, and it turned out really good. This one, however, did really, really good. Oh, yep, see, this one has the ball joint drop brackets on it, and look, that didn't wear no outer edge of tire down. This thing is most gooders, and this thing handles amazing for basically stock suspension, except for upper control arms. Everything else, stock lower control arms, stock torsion bars, stock leaf springs, stock K-frame, and no sway bar. So this thing has no sway bars on it right now. It will get one later, but for the Autocross and on street tires, I was like, we'll just send it without, and it made it very interesting to drive. And it made it very fast too. So, anyways, I will holler at you guys later. Thanks for watching, and videos to come is this guy, that guy, and more. See ya.